that you go check out that on my channel, and just follow along, and then you'll be masters in InDesign in no time. So the purpose of today's demonstration is going to be focused around things which we have already seen but not in detail in the first session. And I'm going to sort of put another layer of knowledge, uh, so that you can see how, like last time what happened, we usually were just fiddling around with the interface, looking for ourselves where the things are. We checked out the toolbar. We saw on the right hand side that we have layers panel, we have pages panel, did something with the pages panel, and on the top we have this command panel. Then we have a menu bar, and at the bottom here on the bottom right corner we have swatches. So we have just sort of fiddled around with the things, and we have came up with this. I'm just gonna show you a small preview of what we managed to do in the last class. In 1 hour we managed to do this. We saw how to import images, how to place them inside random organic shapes, how to put some effects. Here you can see how to import icons, how to import a logo. So all these things we have seen in the last session. Okay, now today what we will do is try to understand the environment of the program. Major problem people has while interpreting the utility of a software is that they think of it as a set of tools. They think of it as a workshop, while I would prefer to think it of as an environment. So a designer also works in a physical environment with the physical tools, and also he should be able to work in a digital environment with virtual tools. So basically the same task can be accomplished within a virtual environment also, and the more comfortable you are with the environment, the better it would be for you to innovate inside that environment and become productive. And at this time the pandemic is going on, and we are very much aware how much working as individual units from different locations and be part of something bigger is important and will be in the future. So developing your digital skills is of utmost importance at this point of time. um, enough can about what's gonna happen. We don't know actually what is going to happen, but we can very much look at the direction where the things are progressing and prepare ourselves for that. uh, what you see on screen right now is InDesign, and we have a blank document in front of us. And the very first thing I'm gonna start today is help you guys recognize what to find where in the interface. And the very top left corner has these menu items listed here, and these are merely 8 options which we have, but almost everything which you need to look for while working with InDesign is inside these menu bars, or somehow can be accessed by clicking on the items listed inside the menu bar. So it is a must to have a look at each of them and then try to understand on what basis InDesign developers has categorized those options. And it's not just true for InDesign. If you understand how to read a menu, you can order in any restaurant. So the way things are organized in the restaurant in menu, they put non-veg sections different, they put sizzlers in a different section. There is a logic behind it, and because of that, it makes it it makes it really accessible for us to navigate inside the menu bar and then find out things which we want to order very quickly. The same case here as well. So let's have a look at the menu bar. And just tell me in the comment section, the guys who are listening to me right now live, just say hi so that I know that the streaming is working well. Okay, and if I mention any shortcut or any cool technique, just put it as a note in the comment section so that people can be aware of that. Okay, So help me guys, thank you. Yeah. So we will one by one go and look at the menu options and just briefly discuss the utility of those in the interface and the workflow. So the file menu, edit menu, these couple of menus you will find in almost every program. You are going to find these couple of menus, and the file menu is very simple. It offers you global settings. So there are two types of settings, or in a way you can say that when you have a lot of settings to work with, you can basically categorize them into two different sections. So there are local settings which affects the things, the immediate effect happens within the document. Those can be called local settings, such as character styles, paragraph styles, graphic styles. So these are sort of local settings which only affect something which is within one single document, while there are global settings which affects everything which is there open in the software, or across multiple pages also it works. So file menu has most of the things which are in concern with the global settings. That means it's going to affect the entire document in the document in entirety. And even hi Srijini, thank you for joining. uh, so I have options of opening up a new document, opening up an existing document, browse and bridge, and all is a very interesting option we have, and in all the Adobe Suite programs you'll find this option. So the whole concept of bridge, I'm just going to quickly introduce you guys with the concept of bridge, because there is a button somewhere also here. Yeah, look at this button, BR. So it stands for the bridge only. So it's gonna do the same thing if I click here or either click here. So bridge is a program offered by Adobe, uh, and it's like a file browser for the entire Adobe suite. The way we have Internet Explorer for exploring the internet, World Wide Web, similarly we also have our Windows Explorer to navigate inside the files which are stored in the hard drive. The same way, Adobe faced a lot of problem in showing the thumbnails of the files. Let's say that I have 10 different PSD files. Then I wouldn't know unless I'm sure about the file name, which file has what stored inside it, unless we open it and then see it one by one. And we all know that Photoshop files are heavier in size, so it takes a while to open them. So it's a tedious job. So Adobe offered a browser within the package of design suite called Bridge, and it helps you in looking at the properties of the file, looking at the preview of the file, and then opening it in the suitable programs. So that is what Adobe Bridge is. You can do further research on it. Well guys, so I must clarify it in the very beginning here in this session that it's not a quickie thing which is going to go in these sessions or the series of sessions I'm going to conduct. So it's very much like a regular classroom session. So a full hour you have to be attentive, and then pay full attention to what is going on the screen and what we are discussing here. And if you have any queries, any comments, just let me know in the comment section. I can see it here. Okay, so just help along everyone also. Okay, now so file menu has these options, very generic options to offer, and sometimes we may overlook the bottom part of the file menu, and which has amazing options and amazing features to offer, such as package. And this is very important. So when we are done with InDesign, maybe in the last session we are going to talk about package a little bit, or maybe in the middle when we export our project, and then let's say that we are collaborating with few other people to work on our project, then the package thing becomes very important. Or also for sending it to the printer is also something where we require package. Okay, and then there is this print booklet feature, the most overlooked feature of InDesign. So usually people do multiple pages documents, and then they rely upon the printer, not the machine, the guy who prints it for you, for doing the page settings. So if I get enough requests, then I'll definitely cover this print booklet someday as well. Then we have document presets, options for defining PDF presets, exporting the file, and there are lot many things listed here under the file menu. But let's quickly move to the edit menu, and the edit also has very generic settings such as cut, copy, paste without formatting and all those things. So in all the Adobe programs you will see similar options in the edit menu. Okay, and on the bottom we have few interesting and important settings such as to define keyboard shortcuts, menus, and then the preferences. So we can talk about all these also, but I think for that we need to at least cross session 3. In session 4 I'm going to show you preferences and how it can really change the way you work with InDesign. Okay, then these are the 3 menus where we are going to spend most of our time. The first one is layout, which definitely speaks out for itself. It's all about working with the pages, adding pages, and basically all these things can be done also by just going to the pages panel, but the menu items also shows you those options. Then you have margin and columns. We did work with margin and columns in the first session, so go check it out. And then we have ruler guides, create guides, and something which is a recent add-on. I guess 2018 version of InDesign started giving this option of layout, liquid layout, and creating alternate layout. It's a very interesting option, so someday I'm going to cover it as well. Then you have first page. These are simply about navigating between the pages, and then just right now we do not have we can't click on them because those are not available. You know why? Because we are just working with one single page. So if I click on a new icon here in the pages panel, and let me just pull it down a little. Okay, so I have multiple pages now, and let's go to layout and see how these options are showing up. But still I do not have these 3 options available to me now. Just quickly see on which page we are in right now. So we are on 4th page, and we do not obviously have the option of going to the next page because there is no next page. Then last page, definitely we are on the last page, so we wouldn't want to go to the last page. So how intelligently menu items are graying out the options which will not be applicable in the given circumstances. It really amazes me, how intelligent the softwares are becoming. And keep a habit of checking out many items once in a while working with any of your project. It gives you a lot of clues and makes you comfortable with the environment as you start implementing the suggestions. So first page is Control Shift Numpad 9. Numpad means the right hand side of your keyboard where all the numeric keys are there in the grids. So that is numpad. So basically it is telling me if I hit Control Shift and Numpad 9, it's gonna take me to the first page. Let's give it a shot. So Control Shift and 9. Well, I think my num lock is off, so let me just give it another go. Yeah, it worked. So if it is not working for you, just check out. There is a key on the keyboard called num lock. Make sure that it is switched on in order to work. Okay, so Control Shift 9 takes me to the first page. So how do I go to the last page? Let's just quickly go and then check out. Last page is Control Shift Numpad 3. Perfect. Okay, so why I'm showing you this, that this is how you can really improve in software and then experience the program in a fun way. Just check out something in the menu and then try doing it with the shortcut, and then there you learn something interesting. Okay, now there are few things at the bottom. Always in the menu items at the bottom you will find really interesting things such as numbering and section options. Now these things can also be accessed from the menu here, numbering and section options, clear alternate layout. So every palette, we will call these palettes, and every palette has a top right menu here, hidden under these we call this burger menu in UX UI language. So if you click on that, it's gonna expand and give you all the options which are there. Okay, so let's go back on the layout and then see. So we have table of contents and styles. When we start working with multiple page documents, I'm gonna show you how powerful these features are. So maybe in the 5th session we are going to cover that table of contents and table of content styles. Now let's move on to the type. This is where we are going to spend a little time in today's tutorial. Okay, so we are going to talk about type, a little bit about typography, not from the aesthetical point of view but purely technical point of view, how we can have, you know, absolute control over how we deal with types in InDesign. Okay, we will see if we have time left enough to discuss character style or paragraph style. Uh, but these couple of things definitely need undivided attention, so maybe we will have separate session for these two things. Okay, now type menu has everything to offer in relation to the font and the type basically. Okay, and then post that we have this object itself, tells you about it. Anything which is not type is considered object in InDesign. So basically an image which you have imported from somewhere else in InDesign can also be referred as object. Something which you have drawn with a pen tool or by using these set of tools available in InDesign will also be treated as objects. So what are the options do we have with objects? We have the options of transforming it, so we can move, scale, rotate, sear and all those things. Then we can transform again. So basically this is something interesting, I'll show you. Basically the transformation which you applied, if you want to reapply the same transformation to a different object or on the same object, then you go to this menu and then work with these settings. Then we have arrange. Now arrange is something maybe you guys are familiar with if you have worked in Illustrator or any other software, because arrange is simply few objects. I think my streaming program dropped a few bits. It showed me a warning, but I guess it's back on track, so you wouldn't see anything interrupted in the video, I guess. But what I did just said is in the objects menu we have this arrange, and I'm gonna show you an example of that. So basically I have 3 different objects which I have created, and I'm gonna quickly fill just random colors in them. So what is happening right now, if I select this and then click on these colors in the swatches, you don't see anything changing. That's because the stroke is prioritized, and when I selected this object and clicked on this, the stroke got the color applied to it. If I click outside, you can see after zooming in that the stroke has green color applied to it. But what if I want the green color to go as fill and the stroke should not be having any color? So we can simply swap these two colors by hitting Shift plus X. Shift plus X is the shortcut for swapping the foreground color or the stroke color to fill color and fill color to stroke color. So if I hit again Shift plus X, it's exactly going to do the opposite of it. Okay, so Shift plus X on the keyboard. Now if we notice how objects are placed here on the screen, the pink circle is at the bottom of the stacking order, and the red one is at the very top of it. So I can change the order of this by hitting Control Shift left bracket on the keyboard. Control Shift left bigger bracket is going to send this all the way to the bottom of the stacking order. Control right bracket is going to push it up, and then it will keep on doing it. Okay, so just go through this and then check out for yourself, the options are there. Okay, well, now I showed you in the first video about fitting. We also tried using Control Alt Shift C, fit frame proportionally, for the exercise I showed you. So check out more options in the fitting, just experiment with it. Okay, now then we have few other options such as interactive, which enables us to create interactive documents. When I say interactive documents, that means you can create forms which users can fill, and the data can be emailed back to you. That sort of interactivity I'm talking about. You can also have animated content inside your PDF file. You can add hyperlinks inside your PDF files. So those things can be achieved by going to the interactive menu. Okay, but in the basic series I'm not going to touch upon these things. In the advanced I'll definitely show you what actually InDesign has in the kitty to offer, you know. Okay, now after that we have table menu. In table menu we are going to partially touch one example I'm going to show you, not today. And then we have view and window. We have to understand these two menus. So there is a view menu which lets you decide how the things are going to get viewed while you work inside the program. And a lot of times people ignore this first option, overprint preview here, which actually enables them to see how the document is really going to get exported for printing. When they say this question comes a lot of times from a lot of students. They say that, sir, I have done everything right, but my images are looking pixelated. My logo is created in Illustrator and it's in vector format. Even though I import it, it shows me a pixelated preview inside InDesign. So why is it showing you a pixelated preview? Because InDesign is optimizing the view, and you can simply click on overprint preview. I did talk about it in the last session as well, and I'm repeating myself, and I'm not sorry for that, because it is important. You should always keep in mind that once you do some changes and you want to see it in real, inside InDesign, go click on overprint preview, have a look, and then get assured that the images are not pixelated and things are working the way it should be. Okay, then you have proof setups, proof colors. You don't have to worry about it. These will be covered in the advanced sessions, but I think it should not bother you much if you just want to stay designing the things and don't want to get into the commercial reprinting aspect of InDesign. So basically these things are taken care by the printers. Then you have like absolute basic navigational controls, which I already covered in the last session with the shortcuts, zoom in, zoom out, fit to the page, and all those things. Okay, then couple of these things, they are very important. Grids and guides, sometimes they are really lifesavers. Just by putting up guides, you can set markers, visual markers, which allows you to effectively work with the layout. So make a habit of using grids and guides, and all the settings are here. There are smart guides which are really nice, which I did talk about smart guides in the last session. So when you work actually in real time, it tells you a lot of things. Like, let's say that I am using a rectangle tool. See the things which keep on flickering on the screen. Now it tells me that the distance, they are equal width wise. So these things are smart guides. You can switch them off as well. I'm sorry, I just popped it out. Well, let's delete these. Okay, and then after that you have Windows menu, and anything if you miss out in the interface, you don't see the strokes panel. Let's say that you have accidentally pulled it out and you done working with it, and then you closed it, and now you are wondering where to get it back. Now I have this path and I want to change the stroke or do something with the stroke basically, and I don't see that window anywhere in the interface. So I just need to go to the window panel and then look for strokes panel. Yeah, it's here. And you also have a hotkey assigned to it, which is F10. So rather I would just hit F10 on the keyboard to get it back, and I'm going to just click it and then drag it beside the color panel to dock it back inside. Okay, and then I can play around with it. So you have to ensure that the object should be selected, then only it is going to work. Okay, so that is what Windows panel does. Yeah, pretty much that summarizes. And then there is help. If you have any queries, and the help tutorials and guides are really amazing. So I would suggest that if you have time, go check it out. Things are really categorized well and may not be clear at the first go because of the language, but as you grow as a designer, as you grow as a person who utilizes software for his daily work, these forums are really lifesavers. I have learned quite many things just going to these forums. Okay, so I have in brief covered everything which is offered in the menu bar here in InDesign. And for the command panel controls, I'll just let you guys experiment with it a little bit. Just make a habit of hovering on top of the icons if they are not active, or even if they are active, just make a habit of hovering on top of it for a while and let the tooltip come. Now it says apply effects to object, so we at least know this much about this thing, this tiny icon there, that it has something to do with the object and the effect, right? So if I know effect and if I know what is called object in InDesign, I would be able to somehow figure out what it does, right? And if I click wherever you see this down pointing arrow at the bottom right corner, you can see that down pointing arrow at the bottom right corner in many tools. There are a few which do not have them, but if you see that down pointing arrow, I hope it is visible on your screen. If you're watching it on a mobile device, just pay close attention to where my cursor is right now. That down pointing arrow at the bottom right corner of the icons, that symbolizes that this icon has more to offer. So you have to click and hold your cursor for a while so that the context menu can pop up from there and you can find out other tools which are hidden inside. The same goes for these three icons also. If you click and hold, you will get more options. So it's not just about the objects. If I click on stroke and you take your cursor there, it changes from apply effects to object to apply effects to stroke. Okay, which simply symbolizes that these set of strokes, these set of effects are going to affect the stroke right now. If I click and then choose object, these set of effects is going to affect only the object. And there is this third option, fill, and text is not, because there is no text on the screen right now. Okay, so that is how you decode the interface. Basically, you just hover your cursor on top of anywhere. Now you just hover your cursor and then look at the tooltip. It says reference point, so it does talk about the referencing system in InDesign's pages. So it's by default set to top left corner. I shouldn't be speaking about these things. These are fairly advanced things to consider right now. So let's get into something objective now. We have discussed quite a few things which definitely are important, but let's talk about some objective accomplishments of the day. So we are going to work with text, and I have something unfinished which I started with the purpose that we are going to finish it here in the demonstration. So I have simply one single heading here, and then I have some bunch of placeholder text which I have filled from going to the type menu and then choosing place with placeholder text. That is it. And I also have Illustrator open side by side, where I have one single image which I have downloaded from Google, and then I have one vector art as well. So this mustache is there and this hat is there. And let's go back to InDesign, the hats unlimited. So this is what I am gonna start with, and I'm trying to build an artwork which can serve as a poster or a leaflet, but basically the purpose is to set up a theme around which all the promotional items can revolve. So basically I'll be setting up a way of putting the brand elements together on a page. Now this page can be improvised further and turned into a poster, or maybe cover of the catalog, or maybe the first page of the website. That is something which we need to not get into right now. The main thing is to develop an artwork which gives us a sense of that this is the brand, and pick out the right sort of treatment in terms of the visual language we are trying to define here. Okay, so I have this hat, and I did not prepare it to actually import it in InDesign. It's just a bitmap image, and I'm gonna quickly show you how we can use. I just need the silhouette of it, and that will serve as a logo. So I'm gonna use pen tool, okay, and I'm not worried much about the quality of my trace here, okay. I just want something to be there to begin with. You can spend as much now. Many times students say that, sir, we ran into this problem where we can't see the object, so how do I move forward? So you just have to remember the shortcut I showed. Right now what is happening, as I am drawing the path, Illustrator is automatically finishing the object, okay, by joining the start point and end point, and filling inside the selected fill color. So I just have to swap the fill color with the stroke color by pressing Shift plus X, and I can continue. Okay, so yeah, I'm not gonna close it, and then I'm going to take the pen tool again and start from here. Now absolutely do not have anything in my mind. I just want something as logo so that I can work further in InDesign to create a layout and set up some typography scheme, look at the colors a little bit, so that's why I'm doing it. Okay, then again I want one line to indicate this band here. I'm simplifying it as much as I can. Okay, all right, now what I'm gonna do is select everything, shift click on the hat, and then hold Alt on the keyboard, ensure that I am hovering on top of the line segments which I have created, not on the hat, to avoid again adding that to the selection. Hold Alt, hover on top of the line segment. I'm also holding Shift along so that the alignment can be constrained. As I pull it up, I see a copy of the hat being created. Now definitely it looks like a hat, the essential silhouette is there. We can definitely refine it further by adding these lines. So let's just quickly do it. I'm gonna just add one suggestive line here. Now when I created this, this is again something which a lot of students run into, and they are lost. What went wrong? I use the pen tool like sir said, but I don't see anything on the screen, and when my cursor goes near to that, this flickers and it's not good. It's simply that you have created a path but haven't assigned any property to the path. So you have to put a stroke also, and the way we can do it in Illustrator is very simple. You just have to hit I on the keyboard, and I'm gonna pick out the property from the line segments. These line segments has the property of a stroke. There is no fill, just a stroke of 1 point, so, and of black color. So I'm just gonna select this, hit I on the keyboard to enable the picker, and then click on these line segments. That's it. Okay, all right, so yep, let me just quickly check whether that session is live or not. I'm a little skeptic about it. Nobody's confirming. Yeah, it's live. Okay, well, so now I'll just play around with the width tool for a while to define some profile to make it look more attractive and more like a logo. I can select the line segments and then pick out the width tool and click on any part of the line and then just create a profile like this. So I want it thicker here, I want it thicker here, okay, and here. All right, so yeah, cool. Well, I can fill color also inside, so I can select all of it and then choose shape builder tool and then go inside, but I don't see it recognizing any of the shapes, and that is happening because these lines are not overlapping. So I'm just gonna push it towards right a little just to ensure that it's overlapping. On this side also I'm gonna do the same, just to ensure that these should be overlapping. Ensure both are selected, and then I can click on the shape builder tool and just go inside, click and then drag. When it shows me an indication that it detected a shape, you can see that fine checkered suggestion. Okay, now if I click on this, oh, something went wrong, I guess. Something went wrong, horribly wrong. So I'm going to select and then try again. Yeah, okay, so we have the shape now, one single shape, and I can fill something inside it. So I'm going to go with this color. Okay, and maybe control the profile a little bit by using the width tool and ensuring that the thickness should not be more. Here also a little bit. I'm gonna drop down the thickness. Okay, here also. Okay, now we can continue working on this as much as we want, but the main thing is to just wrap it up fast so that we can have a logo, and then we can work with it. I'm just gonna quickly add some shadow here on the some cast shadow sort of effect very quickly along these edges. Okay, so I'm just randomly creating a shape and trying to roughly match it up with the left hand sides boundary of the shape, and then I'm going to, yeah, I think yes, oh, a little bit of drop this side. Okay, and then just simply remove the stroke. Oh, sorry, we gotta remove the stroke, so prioritize it, remove it, and then I'm gonna go to the colors panel and then make it slightly dark, and then cut it, select this, and then say Control F to paste it back. Okay, I know it's not the best of the logos you have seen, but we can definitely work with it. And I'm just gonna place this mustache here, an invisible man sort of feel to it. That is what I am looking for. So I'm gonna select both of it and say Control Z to group them together, and I have two choices here. Either I can simply say Control C and go to InDesign and paste it like this by saying Control V. Sorry, I need to ensure that all of it is selected. Control G, Control C, and say Control V. Now this is also okay, but there is no link of this logo with what I have pasted in InDesign, and that troubles me a little. What if my client wants the color of the mustache to be changed a little? If I go here and then try to put a different color in the mustache and then come back, it's not getting updated. So the copying pasting thing is fine if you are 100% sure that you are not supposed to change it later on, but in case if you wish to change it later on, you need to maintain a live link, and that is the next objective what I want you guys to pay attention to. So how we can do that is save this Illustrator file separately. So I'm gonna say Control S, go to the project folder. Those who are thinking what is a project folder, please go back to the first session, and there I'm talking about the project folder. And then I'm gonna go inside the project folder where I keep everything. Okay, and here I'm gonna say logo hat and save the Illustrator file. Okay, well, now let's go to InDesign and say Control plus D. That's the shortcut for placing objects inside InDesign. So Control D is going to pop out this menu, browser, file browser, which lets you choose your assets. I'm gonna go inside the image folder where I have kept the logo hat.ai, and say open. Simple. It gets loaded into my cursor. I can decide how big I want it. I want it this big only. Now do not worry about the quality of it. I told you guys, every time you see like something like this, simply go back to view and then choose overprint preview, and you will see that it's actually nice. But you will also notice that InDesign started lagging a little because we have imported a huge Illustrator file. Not huge, but you will see a noticeable difference in the performance if you work in overprint preview mod. So I would rather switch to the normal mod for working. Okay, so hats unlimited. Yep. Now the next thing is, I want you guys to see how we can download fonts and use it in our InDesign projects. I'm gonna save this by creating a new folder and call it hats. Name the InDesign file hats and save it. Okay, good to go. Now for downloading fonts, I'll show you the font folder where I have kept it. So I have this fonts folder where I have downloaded 3 fonts, and I have downloaded from Google. And when I say Google, I literally mean Google, because fonts.google.com offers you a lot of fonts, very nice fonts, and this is all for free. So do utilize this. Remember, fonts.google.com. It lets you download the fonts for free, for printing and also for using it on websites. Okay, so it's amazing, and right now it is featuring 988 font families. So for downloading the font, you simply have to click on them. It opens in a separate page where you could see the versions of the font. Okay, and then you can click on this download family by clicking on here. It's gonna get downloaded as a zipped folder. You can unzip it, double click, go inside, then double click on the TTF file, then simply click on install. Given that your operating system is Windows 7 and higher, you will get this option. Okay, let's cancel. And I have downloaded 3 fonts here: Lobster, Pacifico and Rocket. So I'll be using these 3 only. I'm gonna quickly go back to InDesign, and before I start doing something here, I'm gonna quickly show you something which I promised, that or you must be skeptic, what happens if sir now change the thing in the Illustrator. So I'm here back in Illustrator. If I select the mustache and then make it of red color, which is going to be horrible, so, and then save the file and go back to InDesign, notice this warning symbol popping up here, and that also reminds me of showing you the links panel, where all our assets, by saying assets I mean everything which I am going to utilize inside my project, the images, the videos. When I say videos, I really mean videos, because for interactive PDF content you can also have videos, you can have flash animations as well. So basically all of them will be treated as assets, and they are going to get listed here in the links panel. Okay, now what it means simply is that something got changed in the file which is linked with this project. Something got changed. It will also show you the error here at the status bar. This thin horizontal bar is known as status bar. So it's gonna show you that one error. If you double click on this, it's gonna show you that there is something wrong in the links panel, and it tells you the nature of the error also. It's modified link. So what do you want to do with this modified link? So I have few options. If I right click, I have few options. I can either relink with CC libraries, in case the file with which I want to link is in the CC libraries. Then other options we also have. So right now what I'm concerned is that anything which I did in the Illustrator should update here also, and for that you have this option of update link. You can simply click on that, or you can simply just double click on here and it's gonna update it. Okay, let's quickly go back to the Illustrator and have the same color of the mustache. Let's save, switch back to InDesign, double click back again to update it. Okay, good to go. Now let's work with this. Let's say this is the main heading. This is how the main headings typography is gonna look like. I'm gonna use the font the font so Lobster is the font which I use for this one, and for the next one I want Pacifico. Let's have a look at the preview of it. Yeah, so for the subheadings I want Pacifico, and I'm just gonna cut this much because this may work well for the subheading. It's just placeholder, so this much content I want for the subheading, and I want it centrally aligned. But before I do anything else, the thing which I cut, I'm just gonna save it by making a copy of it. The way I made a copy of it is by holding Alt on the keyboard, hovering on top of it, clicking and then dragging. I'm also holding Shift along the Alt in order to constrain the alignment of it. Let's double click on this, say Control A and say Control V to preserve. We are going to work with this once we are through. Okay, now I want it to be center aligned. So notice how it works. Pay close attention. If you just click on this and expect those options to reveal itself, it's not gonna happen. No matter where you look in the interface, you will never find something to make it center aligned or right aligned. So basically the paragraph formatting options are not going to reveal unless you are inside the paragraph. What I mean by that is that you have to be within a paragraph. Now this entire thing is a paragraph, so you have to anywhere be inside it. Either just single click, that is also equal to selecting the entire paragraph, which is like this. This is also fine, just click, and this is also gonna fine. Now I just have to click here. Notice in the command panel the options changed, and I can see these options which are in relation with the selected paragraph, and if I click on this, it's gonna center align the content. The next thing I'm gonna do is select all of it, or even if you do not select it, just click anywhere inside. Now this feature is only unique to InDesign. You do not expect Word, Microsoft Word or any other word processing program to work like this. I think Scripts is the program, open source alternative for InDesign, which has similar feature, but InDesign, this feature is awesome. So you just click anywhere, it assumes that the entire paragraph is selected. Okay, and now I can play around with the paragraph settings. So if I go there, I have the option of changing the font. Okay, before I move ahead with the font, let's quickly have a look at the options available at the paragraph and character style. So there are the command panel will be divided into two tabs primarily when you are working with text. The first option here on the top left corner here in the command panel is related to character formatting, and it will give you character formatting controls. Below that you have paragraph formatting controls. Okay, so character formatting and paragraph formatting, these two things are there. Now for the character formatting, you will find things which are related to character. When I say character, then I mean the words you see, and when I say paragraph, that means the entire text frame and the entire paragraph. You have to understand. I'm just gonna quickly wrap it up. I know it's becoming a lengthy video. I'm just gonna quickly wrap it up for today, and then we will continue in the next session. So pay attention for next 5 minutes and you'll be done. Okay, so what essentially means when I say paragraph? So you have to understand how a paragraph is made. A paragraph is made out of lines, and the line is made out of words, and the words are made out of characters. Now if you go with this analogy, things will become very easy for you to understand. Now look at this thing on the screen. This is a paragraph, and I can break it into two paragraphs by double clicking and then hitting enter on the keyboard. Now we have two paragraphs. And do we have, how many lines do we have? So line does not mean that the full stop is going to define the line, because people think that this is the line. A lot of times people confuse themselves with this is a sentence, okay, and this entire thing is a line, and this is a paragraph, and this is a paragraph break. Okay, similar to paragraph break, we can also have line breaks, and for introducing line break inside a text frame, you have to hit shift plus enter, not just enter but shift plus enter. Now both of them looks very much similar, the line break and the paragraph break, but there is a difference in them, and we will talk about that difference in the next session when we look at paragraph styles and character styles. For now, just understand that paragraphs can be broken just by hitting enter. Paragraph is created out of lines. Lines are created. Lines can have more than one sentence, and the sentence is created out of word, and the word is created out of character. So anything which you want to change in relation to the character, you need to click here, and anything which you need to change in relation to the paragraph, you have to click here. Paragraph simply defines the rules how the words are going to get arranged within a text box, while character defines the color of the font and many other features. So we can go through these tiny features here in this video, but it's gonna get very long, so I'm going to dedicate the next video solely for text. Okay, so let's call it a day. I know that we haven't anything, we haven't been able to achieve something very objective, which we can say that this is what we did today, but this whole gyan is going to really help you out in upcoming graphic design endeavors, because this is something like core concept of how a slight technical aspect of graphic design goes in side by side. A lot of people would say that graphic design can also be done without learning computer. I do agree to them, but that is like talking about 30 years back, and I don't know a single graphic designer who does not require help of computer in order to realize their imagination at this point of time. So either you find somebody who can do it for you, or even then you have to be very on your toes to ensure that the person who has being assigned the job of getting your work done is actually doing it honestly and not charging you something which is draining your pockets. Okay, so thank you for being till the end of the video, and then if you are really interested in learning more, please do follow me, and come back, join me in the next session also, and if you subscribe, you will get to know about the next session's schedule. Okay, thank you so much. That would be all for the day.